Trey, as I was mentioning, we focus on women empowerment most of the time. You see standing for women, giving women a voice, giving women that confidence. And sometimes we forget that in order to empower ourselves, we need also to have an empowered man in the family.
Absolutely.
And many times we have seen examples where woman gets educated, gets lots of training, self-development, personal development, but the man stays behind, and then the conflicts come into the surface. So what is your view on that?
That is a long conversation, but I'm going to shorten it down. I think there are a lot of things going on. Do you know studies show that women, the more educated a woman is, the more likely she is to be single? Or the more she earns, the less chance she has of dating and finding a partner.
We don't want to scare these women to get educated.
I don't want to scare you guys, because there's a lot of reasons for it, and I'm not of the opinion of like battle of the sexes. I think that's wrong. I think that's one of the issues. So some women sometimes think men are intimidated by women who are successful, and that's not necessarily the case. So, but you can just stop my phone. I think there are lots of different things going on that I think men need to be responsible for. And I ran a room on Clubhouse for about a year. We had about 10,000 people come for that room. It was all about men. And for the first time, women and men could hear men sharing vulnerably and honestly. And one of the things that I got from men that was the most important thing for them, above love, was actually the sense of being honored and respected in relationships. And men tend to not necessarily share that. So for some men, they think if a woman's going to be very successful, for them it means somehow she's going to be in her masculine energy, and therefore when he's back, he's going to be dealing with that. That's what a lot of men perceive. And sometimes for women like yourself, I mean, you've learned obviously that is you're not even aware, in order to make it in this world, you know, pretty much a patriarchy where it's almost built on the foundations of what men have said. A lot of women do spend a lot of their energy in the masculine space. You know, fighting, competing, you know, dog eat dog is quite a masculine space. And masculine doesn't necessarily mean male or female. It's just the energy that you adopt in order to succeed. So when you're in a relationship and you bring that back home, you don't switch that off in order to maintain the polarity of your partner, it can be quite repelling. And because a lot of modern men are quite scared, if I'm really honest, a lot of modern men are very terrified of actually articulating what's going on for them. And that's where the conflict happens. They're either are emotionally distant, or some of them are actively threatened by a woman doing so well, because then they think to themselves, well, I'm not going to be needed. You know, how am I going to be here for a woman that's doing much better than me, earning so much more? What's my position here? And so men check out of relationships.
So if I ask you, what exactly men want? Do they want a woman who is like, yes, whatever you want, or a woman who has confidence, who can help and support that man to go further, to lead the family together, to lead the journey together? Because sometimes also women feel confused. I have sat down with women around the world, and I hear all kinds of stories. So according to your experience and your approach in this new initiative that you have got, so where do we stand? Is it more like men are educating themselves and accepting and seeing that women that are powerful is not making them disempowered? A powerful woman doesn't disempower the man, or an intelligent woman doesn't make the man feel less intelligent. But how can they bring that balance, working together, to something bigger? So what is your view? What exactly men are looking when they are searching for a woman,
I mean, it's a great question,
as a partner?
And I guess the simple answer would be depends on the type of man. So for women who are entrepreneurs, I think what men are looking for is actually partnership, right? And it is, like I say, it's maintaining that polarity where there's a sense of partnership with the person. But the reason why I've created More Than Men is for men to do the work. It's not for women to kind of kowtow and diminish themselves and put a lid on their self-expression so the man doesn't feel inadequate. That's not a woman's job to do that. It's for a man to look for himself. What is it that's intimidating me? What is it about her success? Or what is it I can't share with her? What am I afraid of? And that's what we're teaching. It's meant to be responsible to share with women and say, look, listen, I'm intimidated by you. Or sometimes when you get back from a hard day and you've been hustling as much as me, I feel like we're in a tussle. You know, we're both trying to hold this masculine space, and there's no balance with that. And it's having that authentic, honest conversation, because sometimes men hear the conversation about being vulnerable, and it means weak to a lot of men. So they don't want to be that.
Can we say this morning, in my coffee morning, and by the way, every single day, I start the day 2 hours investing in my relationship. I start the day 20 minutes meditation, and then 20 minutes reading. We read a book every single day. And then we do 40 minutes exercise, and then we have coffee morning, and in the coffee morning we discuss. Now, my partner brought this question to me today, vulnerability. He asked me this question, what do you think when a man discovers his vulnerability? And, well, I gave my answer. My view is like, yes, absolutely, vulnerability is strength, is power. But I personally, I would not like to see myself or my partner or my friend or anybody stay in that zone of vulnerability for so long.
Exactly. Now, that's the issue that men have. And we did this in our room. We had a room, me and Ines. It was an incredible room on Clubhouse, because even I was shocked, moved. And I've done this work for a long time, but I was shocked by men that were coming in and sharing things like, 80% of divorces initiated by women generally, and women don't realize the impact it has on men. There are very few men on planet Earth that says, I don't need no woman. Men want to be with women. But that's one of the issues that men has. They can't go too far with the vulnerability, because there's an element where if you overdo it for a woman, it's seen as weak. And a lot of women value safety. You might be making your own money, but you still want to feel that you've got a partner that gives you a sense of security.
Now, let's stay to the money. I am interrupting you because the time is limited. I want to cover as much as we can. Let's stay to the providing thing. Here's the thing. So when we come to talk about man standing in his power, we come from a culture, for the old culture, for the old school, where women's place is in the house, taking care of the children, making sure the food is ready, everything. So that is long, long time ago. And we have come so far now. We have got out of the house. We are developing our career. We're investing in ourselves. But we still expect that men, sometimes, yeah, I hear this all the time as part of the journey. Sometimes we expect that men also should be the main provider. So where do you stand on that?
And that's the issue. So a lot of men feel discombobulated. They don't know where they stand. And that's one of the issues. And I think you exemplify a strategy, is that you're creating the time and space for your relationship in the morning in order to discuss this sort of stuff. It's very interesting. I mean, another person here, Linda, I know that you do that with your partner. You guys are a credible example of, let me give my man the space in which he can show up, knowing that he's also struggling and wrestling with stuff. That's something that's very important. And then for men, because they can't overdo the vulnerability, it's important for men to find the brotherhood. And that's what we've created, so they can share with other men and be vulnerable. But men are reluctant to do this, because they think, as long as I'm making money, I'm okay. Men have to do the work. And traditionally, women do the work. You see women a lot more interested in self-development, self-improvement. Men just think, I'm making money, that's enough. No, men have to go back to the drawing board and do that work on themselves. What is going on with me? How am I reacting to the world? What is it about my partner that triggers me? What is it I'm afraid to share to her? That's a very important thing. Men doing the work for themselves as much as women have been doing to the work, and men sharing with other men. It's no surprise that men are 3 times as likely to commit suicide compared to women. Women are just much more resilient than men, emotionally, in every possible way. Women can get by without men, but I think men generally do need women a lot more. They have to start doing that work, but women have to understand that for a lot of men at the moment, it is tough, because they still have some of these old expectations, and at the same time, they're expected to be modern men that could be empathetic, understanding, loving. There's a lot of stuff that men are expected to be in a world where some men feel there's something going against masculinity, toxic masculinity, patriarchy, etc. So men don't almost know where they stand, which is why it's getting harder for a lot of incredible women today. I mean, you can only imagine. Who's single here? Anyone single? Are you finding it easy dating? There you go. The quality of men is just diminished, because men almost are thinking, I might as well check out. I'm not enough. And it needs to be women holding the space for men so they can show up powerfully. But men need to also have a brotherhood and say to other men, are you being the best version of yourself that you can be in this modern world? Because you're going to need to be. Otherwise, women will leave you behind. So this sort of thing that you do is brilliant. And what I'm creating for men to also have a space where they can do things like this, because they don't do it enough, to discuss, to share, and to talk about their issues, vulnerability with other men, so they can be the best version of themselves.
Well, thank you. The key word here is work.
Yeah.
What do I mean? And thank you for bringing this. Because many times we take things for granted. Yeah. So we enter a relationship and it's beautiful at the beginning, and then we let the relationship grow itself. We have to put the work.
Have to.
I mean, nowadays, before it was not that case, but nowadays, if you're bringing a baby to life, you go and read books, you do trainings, you do educate yourself. How do I raise the baby? What do I do? So the same, your relationship is like a baby. If you start a business, you study. You go to a training, you go to school, you get educated. But it's the same when you enter a relationship.
Yeah.
You have to educate yourself. That's why every single morning, the very first thing after we meditate is, what are we going to learn today about our relationship? We can't take it for granted. So I'm so glad you're bringing this big project on with More to Men, because we women have embraced this new era of self-development, personal development, open up, talk about things that matter to us. But as you said, men keep it inside. Men are scared to open up. And how we create that space together that we sit and talk. So tell us a little bit now, what is the future of More Than Men? What are you planning about it? How does it work? How can this help other women? And how can we help you as well? Because we are absolutely interested to invest in the opportunity that men can have to empower themselves.
I mean, the first thing is just spread the word, isn't it, really? That there are so many organisations now, like what we're creating, for men to show up. And the reason why it's important, if men don't do what we're doing, men will have two choices: either start to capitulate in relationships, start to despair, emotionally disconnect, or you've got the other side, which is growing. I mean, everyone knows Andrew Tate, right? Here, and you might have whatever opinion you've got of him, but that's an extreme example, which they call red pill, MGTOW, where men are just thinking women are the enemy, they're all this, and that doesn't help. So what we're doing is creating a middle way where it's more of a grounded masculinity, and that's where men are taking responsibility and saying, I'm going to start here. I'm not going to keep pointing my fingers at women, they're the problem, and feminism and blah, blah, blah. It's women. No, the world has changed. It's almost like complaining about the iPhone and wanting to use a dial-up phone. The world has changed, deal with it. So we're creating a form where men can show up and say, how can we be responsible? Because men are bearing the brunt of a lot of this. Like I say, suicide rates and divorce. There are a lot of men dealing with not seeing their kids, etc. Men need to start off with, how can I be the best version of me? It always goes back to doing the work. And my partnership that I ask from you guys is, just share about what we're doing. Because I'm telling you, men are not talking much, but a lot of men are in deep trouble and they need work. When we did our room, there were men that would come into that room who were ex-Navy SEALs, and their relationship had broken down, and they came to our room saying, Trey, I'm going to commit suicide. I mean, you know some of these people I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm going to commit suicide. My wife is leaving me, and there is no way I can cope with it. I won't see my kids. And I've got on the phone with a lot of these guys, and a year later, they're fine. They've got into new relationships. But there's that period where men are really, really vulnerable because they're not doing the work. They're not talking. They're internalizing it. And if you internalize it, you run the risk of thinking suicide is going to be a permanent solution to a temporary problem, but they don't know it. And then they're taking that choice. So you guys have got to share, because it is a partnership. And we can all agree, we're in a world now where it's so polarized. Men against women, this one against that. No, we're in the world together. You know, these are our fathers, our brothers, our husbands, our sons. We need to be sharing the world so that men can show up and really be everything. So it's doing the work, it's sharing what we're doing, and having men stay away from checking out, and also staying away from the more toxic masculinity, which is the Andrew Tate side, and actually being responsible.
Now, I want a recipe, step by step. How have you created that magic relationship with your wonderful partner, Enas Daiki? She's here. So when we talk, we also want to talk from our personal experience. Before we let you go, tell us something about this beautiful relationship you have created with Enas, not only as a partner, but as a business partner, as someone that you have invested together to build something amazing.
I mean, again, easy work. So both Enas and I have done a lot of personal development work together. Had I not done that, I would be an obnoxious, know-it-all, my word, a highway type of guy. And her culture is Arab, and she would have been all of the things that has led her to be the way she is. You know, this fixed view about what relationship, what a man is. And it's doing the work, and the work is this. That's the work. So it's about pointing the finger at myself and think, where am I an absolute idiot? What do I do that's wrong? Where is it that I don't listen? Where is it when we're talking I attack? So we both just do the work and we check in, a bit like you guys do. We're always checking in, having conversations. It's not perfect, of course it's not. But what we do is, rather than throw the baby out with the bathwater and run into this illusion of there are so many other partners out there, which is an illusion for most people, is no, there's a commitment here. So how can we work together to resolve this? And as a man, it's funny what I'm going to say, because some men find it an utter turn off about what I'm going to say. So some men will say to me, and I've had friends say that to me, Trey, don't pour too much into Inas because she'll get so big she won't need you. Can you believe men think that way?
Yeah.
And it's a real insecurity that men have, thinking, don't let your woman get too big because, oh, she's not going to need you. And it might be true, but it's an insecurity. Whereas my thing is, this is a partnership.
Yeah.
And I want the woman that I'm with to be the best version of herself.
Wow.
And I will be the best version of
Wow.
myself. And together, we will take on the world. It's just as simple as that.
Wow.
And a lot of people are afraid of that. And it's time to not be afraid. That's why we're all here. We're entrepreneurs, and by definition, we are risk takers.
What do you think of all these men want us to be the hanger for them, to hang all their problems on us?
And that's why I said that men shouldn't be vulnerable with women to that sense, because it will occur for you like they're putting all their problems on you. I think it's wrong. I think men need to share with other men that have done the work. And that's what I do all the time with men. Anything you say to the man is going to land with him as there's something wrong with me. He's going to get defensive straight away. That's the first thing he's going to do. He needs to go to other men, because I hear men complain, my woman this, and I say, have you considered your part in that? Are you listening to her? Does she feel that she's heard? And you've got to remember, for a lot of men, they tend to be in this kind of more of a logical space. For some women, it tends to be much more of a limbic emotional space. So you're almost speaking two different languages.
How we deal with it?
That's what I'm saying.
We should have another session just on that.
Send your man
get
to
them to get courses to
yes, send your man to a very good coach or
so
mentor.
you have to start a course now how to deal with women.
Oh yes,
Probably,
oh
yeah.
yes.
But men do
It's
need it.
ongoing.
Yeah, I feel for you, because a lot of men do need it and they don't want to hear it. Do you know how hard it is for me to coach men compared to women? Women are much more receptive to this.
Thank you.
Men are
My
not receptive
experience
to it.
And what I see around me, I see men, they understand what they did wrong after 10 years.
Of course.
And they come and
It
talk
takes
to
longer. Yeah, that's
It
so
takes a
true.
lot longer to penetrate a logical brain. I'm telling you that. Men are always thinking, how can I fix it? It's always logic. They don't want to go within themselves emotionally and say, what's going on? They take forever. Whereas women are much more interested in self-development.
They don't feel it in the beginning. They
No,
only
no.
feel it after 10 years.
Of course.
So how you develop
Then it's too late, yeah?
Yeah.
You feel earlier and do.
So the reason why women
Because
initiate...
when they do these things, they just destroy their relation
Exactly.
and they destroy their children
Yeah.
and other people's lives.
Yes. They're not aware. A lot of men are not aware of it. That's why so many divorces are initiated by women. And women are fed up way before they let that man know that it's over. And for a man, it's a shock. They don't realize
50
it.
years ago, women were shy and
Yes. Yeah.
not allowed to have
Yeah.
divorce. But now, woman, she said, why I deal with this? Sorry, crap.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I mean. The world has changed for men. Women have become a lot more empowered. A lot of men haven't kept up with that. So they're still trying to work from this old paradigm of I'm the man, I'm paying the bills, that should be enough for you, shut up. Whereas the new world isn't. No, we're going to have a conversation and you're going to have to deal with yourself. Men don't always want to deal with themselves because men always come from, I can fix it. Sometimes you just want to be heard. And let's start there, like you said. You just want to be heard. You don't have to agree with it, but you want to, I get it.
But I want to be treated as a woman, not as a mother.
Oh, now, thank you for raising that, because
great conversation,
Trey,
really.
another question as a summary of everything. I meet women like you every single day, all over the world, all kind of cultures, all kind of backgrounds, very powerful, very visionary, investing so much on their self-development, in their career, and have gone so far with their achievements. I have met also women who have been self-made millionaires. They have built businesses, communities, and then they come and sit there and cry, said, what's the point of me putting so much work, having built all of this and not being able to enjoy when I have a man in my side that doesn't understand, doesn't appreciate me, doesn't recognize me. I don't have a beautiful, healthy relationship, because sometimes we see as a success a woman has achieved something in the career, but the holistic success is when also we want to have a good man in our side. And I remember when I was invited to speak into a very kind of exclusive inner circle, a room full of big business owners, multimillionaires, and we ended up in a round table having lunch together, and I hear them saying, chatting with each other, and they ask me, oh, you're very successful, yeah? Do you have a partner? Do you have a husband? I said, yeah, I do. I said, Oh, yeah. So you are saying that you're teaching us all of these. We know all this business stuff. Just tell us, how do we enjoy our millions? We want a man to enjoy life with us. And it made me reflect that, in fact, yes, we are powerful, but it makes sense when we also, as a powerful woman, we want to have a man in our side. So we don't want the world to take us wrong, because many times with Global Women, we just talk, yes, women this, women that, but we never mean that we don't need men in our life. A powerful woman always would welcome a man in our life. That's why I really appreciate what you're doing with men, because the time now has arrived where women are working a lot, we have progressed a lot, we have achieved a lot, but now how can we create that common space where we both, men and women, feel so powerful together and not threatened from each other? So how you're going to put that mission into this world where you can open the doors for men, and we can probably some point, men and women, celebrate together our success and achievements.
You're asking me that?
Now, just to summarize your work with more than men.
So to summarize that, like I say, I think men have to do the work. They need to do a lot of the work with other men who have already done that work. And I think women also need to understand the world in which a lot of men operate, and need to actually have the patience, the understanding, the love for what men are having to go through right now, because men don't always share. So you might have to sit down with your man, no prejudice, and ask him, what are you dealing with? Like, genuinely, what are you dealing with? And both be willing to do that work. Because if not, men will be left behind, but it means a lot of powerful women will also be left without a partner. So we have to come from partnership here. There is another way of doing it. Yes, men need to do a lot more work, but women have to also be ready to be in a partnership with the man, and therefore understand that he is struggling as well, and that you guys work together, whether that's a mentor. I mean, obviously coming to Global Woman, if you're a man, coming to More Than Men, but you're both willing to do the work, and like you do, spending that time in the morning, because people tend to just watch TV, or no, deal with your stuff, talk about it. How's today been for you? How is our relationship? Check in. Ines and I do that quite a lot. How's the relationship? Check in. Well, you did this and you did that. Okay, great. You just, okay, now what we're going to put into place. It takes a lot to deal with that. A lot. But you have to bring that time for your relationship, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself single, finding another man with similar problems, and it's going to start.
And what you put in, you get out.
You get out. Simple.
So thank you so much, Lowe. It's always an amazing opportunity to learn from you. Every time you speak, it's just, you blow me away. And thank you for your contribution to Global Women as well.
Thank you.